Morning, Charles.
Oh, Jonathan, hello. What time is it for you there?
3 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, golly, there you go. We're lucky.
Yeah.
It's 6 o'clock here, 6 p.m. So,
Oh.
yeah, that's in the whole world. So,
Yeah.
well, that was very quick of you to spot me. 3 a.m. God, I don't do 3 a.m.s anymore.
I'm in the middle of my dream.
There's 34 people on.
Bună ziua din nou. Hello.
Bună ziua, se aude? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Welcome to the International Congress.
Da. Da, aici ce apare așa.
Ela? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, few minutes until the start because many other participants want to enter to the platform. So I ask you for 1 or 2 minutes to all the participants which participated until now at the opening ceremony in Romanian. Now we have to register back to the international session of this Congress. Thank you so much.
Eu așa știam.
I will close all the microphones of the participants to this international session. My asking to you is to open the microphone when each speaker will follow during the session.
Okay, dear colleagues, my microphone is active.
Yes, yes, it is okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Good day, dear colleagues. 1 minute about who is I. I am a doctor of biology, and I represent one of the oldest in Russia, the Center of Health Tourism, the focusing mineral waters region. What the region is? There are 3 steps of organization in this region. One step is in 1803 by degree the Tsars Alexander I, and the second steps organization of the Russian Balneological Society. It's in 1863, and the third step, May 1820, the organization, the first Russian Biological Institute. And you see today, in this year, our institute celebrate 100 anniversary. And what's our region? There are 4 towns, resort towns, Pyatigorsk, Yessentuki, Zheleznovodsk, and Kislovodsk. And only in Pyatigorsk, we have 5 genetic groups of mineral waters at carbonic, radonic, nitrogen, sulfatic, and other. Pyatigorsk, like is the Museum of Mineral Waters. There are, in our town, there are more than 100 resort hotels. And we used natural terminal and mood bus. Near our town, there are the Mood Lake, Tembukans Lake, and our region near the highest mountains of Europe, Elbrus, and around this region there are many hot and cold medical springs, and these springs used as
okay. Thank you very much. I want to ask if Professor Solimene is with us at this international session. Please, Professor Solimene, if it is online. I ask him to open the microphone if it is online. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, in the name of the Romanian Association of Balneology, its members and co-organizers of this Congress, I welcome you and I express my gratitude and thanks for your online presence today in this Congress. We believe that interdisciplinary collaboration among researchers, clinicians, and educators across disciplines and with diverse perspectives is the best way to achieve the greatest impact and promote balneology and medical rehabilitation. Also, international cooperation is essential for this discipline everywhere in the world. This Congress is the ultimate expression of this belief. Your participation in this Congress will have a great and helpful impact in this direction. Thank you very much. Now, let me start with the Anthem of Romania to begin this opening ceremony, international opening ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your attention. Now I will ask Professor Umberto Solimene if he is online already with us to have a first speech during our international session. Professor Umberto Solimene, if he is already online. If not, I will ask Professor Zeki Karagiule, our best friend of Romanian Association of Balneology, to have some words and to be with us. Professor Zeki Karagiule, please have some words during our international session.
Hello to everyone. It is my great pleasure and honor to join you for this, I may say, historical event, the first online meeting of Balneological Congress, which is organized by our dear friends of Romanian Balneology Association. And I would also like to present all my greetings, all participants from all over the world. This is a real international session. And my special thanks always goes to my dear friend, Dr. Constantin Munteanu, for his great effort in promoting scientific balneology. And if I have time, and if you permit me, I may make a small presentation about the possible or potential or hidden role of balneology in the fight against COVID. I prepared a presentation.
Please, you can open the presentation.
From specialist language sources. We are OET premium preparation providers, which means we are experienced and skilled in what we do. Helping people achieve
You see the presentation already?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah? Okay.
Okay.
So in the traditional way, balneology comes from the 4 elements which can be originated up to Hippocrates: water, earth, air, and fire. And in the traditional way, these are mineral waters, fluids, gases, and heat applications, the temperature of the application. And the historical way, balneology and medicine developed in health resorts or thermal facilities, thermal places. And mostly it has been practicing in the health resorts or spa resorts or balneary resorts, however you call it. But in the modern times, we have more specific balneological agents in the general term thermal mineral waters, but in the specific we have H2S, HO2, radon, and other specific waters, and some balneological products as well. And we have mainly bath therapy, balneotherapy, and sometimes it is combined with mat therapy and drinking, inhalation, external applications. And we have nowadays innovative applications all around the world as balneological treatment. So now we have, as we call it, medical balneology and thermal medicine. Even though this thermal medicine terminology is not very well established, sometimes we call it spa or health resort medicine as well. And the practice is not only being happening in health resorts, but also in medical settings out of health resorts. So after the COVID-19 pandemic, we all, I may say, shocked with this great danger to our common health all over the world. So we should try to find the way if balneology and thermal medicine in general, or with interventions and modalities and agents, should be considered as a preventative or even therapeutic measures for the fight against COVID-19. In the classical healthcare system, we have the aims to prevent first the disease, and then to treat the disease and rehabilitate the post-disease patients. And we have classical settings, home, polyclinic, hospital, and special hospitalizations. And the main cornerstone way to fight against COVID has been first in the prevention, staying home, lockdowns, and other individual measures like carrying masks, following the hand wash, and keeping the social distance. And the patients are being treated in polyclinics and hospitals. And regarding the role of thermal facilities, up to now, to my knowledge, there is only one report that reporting some transmissions in a public bath center in the main pandemic city, Wuhan, in China. And they reported that a cluster of transmission of SARS-CoV-2 can still arise in an environment with high temperature humidity. This high temperature and humidity is the main two components of the thermal facilities and balneotherapeutical and balneological applications. So the decision was all the thermal facilities have been closed down. But our colleagues all around the world try to find a way how we should implement balneology and thermal medicine into the fight against COVID. And there have been some efforts. Here you see one example stating that spa centers, if hygienically controlled according to the WHO and national recommendations, may be considered safe places to attend, and they may act as a useful settings to counteract the outcomes of residual unbalanced immunity after COVID-19 infection. And we, all around the world, all in Turkey, in other countries, there have been some protocols regarding the safety in the thermal facilities. And the most comprehensive one was very recently published by Italian colleagues with initiation of force. And here you see the rules and the protocols and the self-checking plans for hygienic and sanitary safety of the post-COVID-19 balnear therapy. So in that case, balnear therapy can be only considered after the COVID infection. So not the prevention, we may call it post-prevention. But this should be to see balneology in a very limited way. In fact, the use of balneotherapy and pellucidotherapy, as again a group of Italian colleagues mentioned, may improve human immune function, both humoral and cell-mediated. That is a compelling evidence about this knowledge. So in prevention, balneotherapy may have a role against COVID-19. But there are currently no treatment protocols in balneology and thermal medicine for preventing or the treatment of COVID-19. This is the main problem. If we go into the details, we can come across with for traditional balneology, a balneological gas, hydrogen sulfide, H2S. And there have been efforts to use H2S as a gas, as a external donor, and have been evaluated if it should be a potential difference against COVID-19 in the prevention and in the treatment. And in fact, according to the research advances on H2S signaling, last 2 decades in biology and medicine, it is suggested that H2S may be effective in management of COVID-19, especially in high-risk population with underlying conditions, including cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and kidney disorders. In fact, my personal interest in H2S goes back nearly now 30 years back. And we have recently published 2 papers. One is a systematic review in vitro evaluation of natural thermal mineral waters. One in vitro evaluation and one systematic review. And we have shown that H2S mineral waters have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effect. But there is a missing evidence about the antiviral effect of such balneological H2S mineral waters. So we should start somewhere to evaluate the preventive and or therapeutic effects of balneological treatments with waters rich in H2S for the management of patients at any stage of the COVID infection, before the infection, during the infection, and after the infection. What we need in a classical research approach, we need preclinical studies, in vitro and in vivo studies, and clinical trials. We should plan, design, and conduct such studies instead of closing down the thermal facilities. By this way, this is a very important topic. We need the integration and collaboration of balneology and thermal medicine with modern medical research and technology. We strongly need this. And this will lead us to a greater integration of balneological and thermal therapies in current mainstream medicine and current healthcare systems all over the world. Thank you for your online attention.
Dear Professor Zeki, dear friend, thank you so much for your intervention, for your speech of today, for your presence in our Congress. You know very well that you are welcome always during a Congress in Romania. You also participated from the beginning with us. As you know, today, this month, Romanian Association of Balneology has 10 years of existence. If you remember, you have been invited to the first conference in Bucharest when the Romanian Association of Balneology was established legally. And from that moment on, always when was a Congress in Romania, we were very happy to be with you, to share with you experiences. Thank you also for the great success of this organization, because you know very well, we gladly participated in all ISMH congresses from Spain, from Japan, from Brazil, and also for the great help and support you gave us to have an international Congress of ISMH here in Romania in 2016. In Bucharest, in Parliament House, and I am very grateful and very happy to always to be with you and to consider you the best friend of the Romanian Association of Balneology. Also a great ambassador of the Romanian balneology sector, and I want to be always with you also in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for these nice words.
I will invite now Professor Dr. Jose Carbajo from Spain for the next lecture, for the next presentation, and also for a few words during our Congress. Professor Carbajo, if you are online.
I try to speak. You can hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you. I put the presentation. I try to speak about this. But that's all. I would like to thank the organization, to the Romanian, and I try to see me. Wait a minute, please. The Romanian Medical Physical Association from Balneology and especially to our friends, the Constantin Munteanu, for this invitation. I try to speak in a few minutes around non-specific action of peloids and the influence of occlusion. Epidermis is our cover and is able to constantly renew itself. We have three main characteristics: protection, prevention, and regeneration. It has several mechanisms from this function: intercorneal cement, renewal and desquamation, and corneocyte moistening of corneal structure through the natural moisturizing factor. It remains as a brick and mortar structure like this, when the corneocytes are mortar and the lipids, the bricks are corneocytes, and mortar are the lipids of the structure. And the main constituent of this lipid were ceramides, cholesterol, and free fatty acid. This structure is capable to prevent the entry of substances into the skin, and also have a control of the exit of our own humor, especially from the vapor from the water. And what's happened when we place an occlusive material, such a pelloid, on its surface? Perspiration water is retained inside the skin, inside the epidermis. But this retention is not homogeneous. On the superficial layer, the corneocyte, remember, corneocyte is not a cell, it's a dead cell, it's a structure, are moistened with extracellular water. The water is outside the corneocyte. But in the lower layer, keratinocytes, live cells, no dead cell, are hydrated and swollen. They grow by the water. The water is inside of the cell. This hydration is due to the phenomenon of solvation, that's the salt's capacity to retain water. And that originates the osmosis process, also known as water force, responsible of the membrane cells tension. Because of that, the cells may have swelling or shrinkage, depending on the quantity of salt inside or outside of the cell. Likewise, the cell have saline mechanisms to protect themselves. The RVD, regulatory volume decrease, to restore the normal volume, and the regulatory volume increase to restore to the normal volume, making this process with different pump. But the essential thing, the changes in the cell volume regulate a multitude of physiological processes, included the release of hormones and cellular messengers. We knew three mechanisms with the saline involvement: the cellular osmosis, the transcription translating, signaling, and the mechanosensitive channel that when we included the piezo channels. Likewise, occlusion is also capable of altering the ecology outside or inside the skin. Also promotion changes in the skin microflora. In the new word, the microbiota. Skin microbiota is different depending on the chosen skin area. There are mainly three skin microbiota depending on the presence of the lipids in the sebaceous area or water, dry and moist area. We have different kinds of microorganisms in different parts of the skin and different secreting molecules, antimicrobial peptides, bacteriocins, and short-chain fatty acids. Different kind of protection of the skin. The bacteriocin is usually placed on the sebaceous area, and in exclusive, the short-chain fatty acid. But for that, occlusion can make that a healthy skin as a disease or naturally our goal, that the sick skin become healthy. We can say that peloid can have two mechanisms. One, due to its own special composition, it carries out another activity, different special salt in their composition, hydrogen sulfide, sodium chloride, sulfate, selenium can transform the capacity. But in general, the peloids have a common mechanism for alteration of skin structure, the physical, the chemical, the microbiological, and biological activity of skin, of alteration on the skin structure. And for that, peloids in general are capable of acting in the following levels on general action: increasing the concentration on different amino acids in the serum, modification some molecules like myeloperoxidase and nitric oxide. Remember, vasodilatation. You have a pleasure when you put on the skin a peloid, and for that, the levels, the plasma levels of endorphins and stress hormone are modified. Peloids in general have the ability to modify the inflammatory process from neutrophils and macrophages by ACTH hormone and cortisol. And finally, they can inhibit the VCAM1 expression in the epithelial cells and reduce the monocyte adhesion to the endothelial cell. All of them properties have anti-inflammatory characteristic. The question, the possibility of to put a peloid on the skin have a general activity anti-inflammatory. And for that, I have a reflection. Is a reflection like our Hungarian friend Saba Varga said: treat or no treat, Miles bis in spa water disinfection. In this case, we cannot speak about mineral water, but from peloid, we can say we have erroneous beliefs in the peloid activity. Thank you very much for your attention. I would like my lecture is for you pleasure. Thank you very much.
Dear Professor Carbajo, thank you so much for your friendship, for your presence today in our Congress. Well, it's always a pleasure to hear your talks and your speeches. Thank you very much. Thank you to be a friend with the Romanian Association of Biology. Now,
it's a pleasure to stay here with my friend from Romania.
Okay, thank you very much. If Professor Umberto Solimene is entered the Congress, I will ask him to open the microphone and to have some words from his side. Professor Umberto Solimene, you have the floor. If he's not yet ready, I will ask Professor Gelu Onose to have some words to our international session.
Thank you. So, do you hear me?
Yes, of course, yes.
Well, while Professor Solimene, we know that he's engaged in another meeting, and probably this is the cause he's in a little delay. Meanwhile, I take the opportunity to address in English too some words of welcome to our Congress. So, esteemed guests and participants, I'm singularly honored to open this year too, the National Congress of Physical and Rehabilitation Medicine and Balneology with international participation. We are living hard times, dramatic, unprecedented for each of us and socially in ensemble. The COVID-19 outbreak forced us, since already over half year, to profoundly negative modified lives and action modalities personally and collectively. All the well-known prevention measures, although very necessary to limit as much as possible the evil consequences of this disease and its spreading, impose inevitable efforts and inevitable costs of medical humankind. That means sufferance of patients, burnout of the first line involves medical sanitary staff, behavioral consequences in the population, and of course consequences of organizing kind, modification in the health care system structure, and last but not least, consequences of economic and social kinds, very severe. And we know that first of all, the industry of hospitality and tourism are very severely affected, at least on short and medium term. And hopefully this pandemic will end, because otherwise there are to be foreseen hard consequences even on long term. An adaptive major alternative that made possible it to continue functioning in this harsh period, even if with important limits in different situations, is the IT, the information technology. It allowed including the online fulfillment of many activities, among which an important part of are the didactic and scientific ones. And in this Congress, which is still deployment, is for the first time online. This is a proof of the capacities of the information technology. While we do not wish to abuse of it in the future. In my brief speech, I want to point out with satisfaction that despite the difficult evoked general situation, our Congress succeeded at this edition, even before it started, to surpass some of its former records. We have now the biggest number, 7 universities, prestigious universities, that have given us their academic auspices. We have now part of our consortium that for several years organizes this National Congress with international participation. We have included in our consortium even the Society of Specialists in Medical Rehabilitation and Medical Physical Medicine from the Republic of Moldova. And at the same time, as the visibility and the international recognition of the academic level of performance achieved by this Congress in the previous years, we have obtained now the largest number of continuing medical education credits. This is impressive, 32. I don't know if there are other congresses in Romania, and I don't know if there are many in Europe to achieve to receive such a great recognition of 32 such credits from the European Accreditation Council for Continuing Medical Education within the European Medical Union of Medical Specialists. And you know very well that all these credits are 1-per-1 transferable in each of the all countries, not only European. And so we have a very dense scientific program to be followed, continued in the next following 4 days. I end my allocation thanking to the personalities who will address us their distinguished greetings and have already addressed it, to the international fellows that honor us with their participation, to the colleagues who contributed to the accomplishment of our Congress, and to all the participants. And I herein express my warm, not feverish, if I'm permitted this pun, with wish to smoothly and rapidly overcome the actual pandemic state and to come back to normality. Thereby, I do hope our Congress the next year to be held again as fair, including by communication and knowledge gain through real, not only virtual, human relationships. I wish in the end as well, wholehearted, great success to this Congress. Thank you.
Dear Professor Gelornose, thank you very much for your words. Now I will invite Dr. Davide Rossi from Italy to have some words during our international session and to have a presentation for our session. Please, Mr. Davide Rossi, you have your word.
Hello, good morning at all. Thank you very much, Constantine, for your invitation. And I like to share with you my presentation that I'm trying to do it now. You can see?
Just a moment, I think. Just a moment. It's not already.
Can you see my presentation?
Not yet, not yet.
Excuse me. There is a problem.
From shares.
Can you see now?
Now we'll start. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay. Is a pre-recorder version. Good morning. I am Davide Rossi of Development Cooperation NGO. The title of my presentation is Surface Tensiometry Application to Pelloids and Pelotherapy, an overview. Every project should have a wide view in the characterization of systems and in relation to the processes involving them. The surface tensiometry applied to thermal field was inserted in the project Study of Natural and Formative Systems for Contact with Skin and Mucosas, and sub-project Biotechnological Research applied to thermal field performed by the Osservatorio Termale Permanente near the University of Padua from 1996 to 2014. The activity of OTP opened to the possibility of check thermal mass maturation processes, qualification of pelloids, and development of reproducible protocols in pelotherapy. These three aspects should be connected each other by an integrated network. The integrated network is a general term that can define the participative methodology in research that can involve different national and international experts in physics, chemistry, and clinic related to the thermal area. Consequently, the development of innovative thermal therapy protocols for improved wellness is strongly interconnected to the link existing between all physical-chemical aspects of the system studied. The activities of OTP led firstly to the definition of a chemical marker for the qualification of thermal mass in Italy. Considering that the elements present in the spring water are linked to the chemical composition of thermal mass, in 1996 was developed a first chemical marker based on the analysis of the frequencies of each element present in different samples of thermal mass. This chemical marker consented to discriminate different thermal areas on the basis of the reproducibility of the presence of the typical elements in the pelloids. In the figure it is clearly shown that the chemical elements present in the area A have higher reproducibility than the area B, that reports a greater variability in the kind of elements present in the pelloids. This difference was probably due to external factors, not dependent from the nature of the thermal mass samples analyzed. From a structure viewpoint, during the activity of OTP was developed a rheological marker capable to monitor and control the modification in the nature of pelloids occurring during the maturation process. The contact and the combined action between the thermal water mineralogic component of pelloids and the biological component developing in the water, such as algal flora, led to a modification of the viscoelastic properties of the system over time. The increase of viscoelasticity is due to the interaction between the Claise fraction of pelloid and the organic and bioorganic chemical species produced during the maturation process, such as sulfoglycolipids having anti-inflammatory properties, that can be evaluated rheologically in oscillatory modality. The differences in the intensity recorded over time regarded mainly the Claise fraction, while the main structure of the pelloid, constituted of more greater mineral particles, appeared not involved in the process. In 2005, OTP started the development of surface tensiometry models in order to characterize the pelloids and their maturation processes. Using a tensiometer were determined the contact angles of three liquids tests, such as diiodomethane, glycerol and formylase HC25 perfluoropolyether, measured on the smooth surface of thermal mass. As regards diiodomethane and glycerol, the values of their contact angle consented to determine the surface free energy, disperse component and polar component of the thermal mass, using a conversion mathematical model such as Owen-Wendt. The PFPE is hydrophobic, lipophobic and self-repellent liquid. Due to these particular characteristics, the contact angle were measured under 0.5 seconds after the contact with Mars surface, considering the best ratio between drop image sharpness and drop image snapshot time. The value of this ratio is the dimensionless number that led to evaluate the contact angle with high sensitivity because the repulsion forces that generate at an interface between PFPE and the mud. The measurements of PFPE contact angles led to the evaluation of the activities behaviors of thermal spas, because linked to the maturation process of the thermal mass. In the left figure is shown the activity trend of some spas pertaining at a specific thermal area. It is clear that the less values of PFPE contact angles correspond to spring high season activity and vice versa. In particular, it is evident that in the winter period during which the activity of thermal spas are suspended, the values of PFPE contact angles appear highest. The thermal spas activity trend diagram is confirmed by the figure on the right, which demonstrates that higher values of PFPE contact angles correspond to a decrease of the maturation process due to the lower seasonal activity of the spas. The ideal PFP contact angle range corresponds to the ideal pelloids and depend to the typical composition of thermal mass of the area tested. The surface tensiometry applied to thermal field led to the calculation of the surface free energy components of pelloids also. In figure is demonstrated that the surface tensiometry applied to thermal field led to the calculation of the surface free energy components of pelloids also. In figure is demonstrated that the dispersed component of the pelloids correspond to the organic compounds present in thermal mud. A great part of the organic substance is due to the biological maturation process, and it can be extrapolated calculating the increase of dispersion component over time. The polar component of the thermal mass is related to the polar organic substances, inorganic compounds and mainly water. The polar component of thermal mass can be considered as a surface tensiometry indicator of its hydration state. an essential condition for the application of pelotherapy protocols in spasm. The contact angles of glycerol are linked to the polar component of the MAD. OTP evaluated the exchange activity at interface between skin and mature pelloid during pelotherapy and after the application of the only clay fraction. The steps performed were a granulometric separation of the particles of thermal mud, the production of thermal patches constituted by cellulose filters used for the under-vacuum separation of the finest dimension particles of the mud, a surface tensiometry analysis of the thin stratum of fine clay particles deposited on the filter, the application of the patch on the skin for 10 minutes, a second surface tensiometry analysis of the thin stratum of the fine clay particles after application, a comparison the surface free energy components of clay fraction measured before and after application of patches with the data obtained from the same thermal mud before and after pelotherapy. The main results were a decrease of dispersed component of the pelloid after application due to the release of the organic compounds on skin surface for both the experiments, an increase of polar component of the pelloid due to the intake of the sweat released from the skin that improved the hydration of the pelloids and its clay diffraction. In the end, the concept of integrated analytical approach demonstrated its importance in thermal field also because it represents an integrated approach to the study of the bulk chemical composition, the bulk structure, and the surface characteristics on the same material sample and at the same time. My experience in OTP from 1996 to 2014 here reported could help to open new perspectives in thermal field research. My presentation is in memory of Rodica Morario, caregiver. Thank you at all for your attention.
Dear Davide Rossi, thank you very much for your presentation. Your friendship is always with me, so I thank you very much. Now I will invite Professor Yashinori Otsuka from Japan to have some words during our international session, if it is with us.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm from Japan. First of all, I greatly appreciate you can organize this international session during this COVID-19 infections. So now I will start my presentation. Oh, great. This maybe you cannot see this one. So I find this.
Okay.
Now you can see this slide. Okay. Oh, today I was talking about burner therapy for diabetic patients. So the indication of burner therapy for diabetic patients is obese type 2 diabetic patients without severe complications such as retinopathy, nephropathy, and neuropathy. We prescribe for the patients, first of all, calorie intake. It depends on frail status and age. And indoor exercise such as treadmills or cycling method. Walking with 10,000 steps a day. And underwater exercise for 30 minutes. This is the slide of photos of the patient. He is running on the treadmill and cyclometer. And outdoor exercise with great environmental conditions, national resources. And in the pool, very many people in the pool, but it's not. It is comfortable for these people because of this water is hot spring water. They exercise in the water, just walking around. And this is the result of underwater exercise for 30 minutes. After lunchtime, they took underwater exercise, and the blood glucose levels decreased about 50 milligram per deciliter with after exercise. Without exercise, they spend the time as they like. There are no decreases were observed. And this is circumference rhythm, a 70 cycle. As you can see, these body weight and plasma glucose levels and plasma insulin levels periodically change up and down and up and down, 7-day cycle. This is the typical change of burner therapy. And these 4 people, just nutritional and exercise therapy only. Daily profile of blood glucose levels at day 1, and day 14, day 28. Surprisingly, only after 2 weeks, is one white blood cycles. The blood glucose profile almost normal levels. And this, I found a paper from New England Journal of Medicine that says hot tub therapy for type 2 diabetic merits. And in this paper, 8 type 2 diabetic patients took a 30-minute full body bathing 6 times a week for 3 weeks. Result: mean blood glucose levels significantly decreased, and hemoglobin A1C levels also decreased significantly. So serial full body bathing is good for diabetics. Suggested mechanism of blood glucose decrement. First one is calorie consumption by whole body bathing. Second, underwater exercise in and outdoor exercise surrounded by natural environment. Third, normalized autonomic nervous function from the secretion. 4, absorption of trace elements from thermal absorption. 5, combined Western medicine. Today is time limited, so I will talk about number 1, calorie consumption. This slide shows calorie consumption by full body bathing different temperatures at different temperatures. 11 healthy volunteers participated in this experiment. At 25, blue line is 25 Celsius, and orange line 42 Celsius. Maybe you European people it's very hot and never bathed at this temperature. We Japanese like hot temperature water, hot water temperature. So during bathtub, water consumption, oxygen consumption increased highest in at the 25. And second one is 42 centigrade. This one is sum of void O2 consumption at different temperatures. At the time 40, 10-minute bathing and 20 minutes rest in a chair. Sum of consumed energy were calculated as at 42 Celsius, 4.2 kilocalorie up. 25 Celsius, 6.9 kilocalorie up over the basal metabolic rate. So, assuming that basal metabolic rate per day is 1,200 kilocalorie, it is calculated by 25 kilocalorie as for 30 minutes. So 4.2 kilocalorie up means 70% up. This is great, isn't it? Conclusion. Balance therapy is beneficial for type 2 diabetes patients. One of the mechanisms is thought to be calorie consumption by serial bathing. We Japanese people like like a bathtub bathing. Many people every day take a bathtub bathing, but nowadays, especially in younger ages, don't take a bath, just take a shower. So balance therapy consists of everyday bathing. So it's very beneficial for the diabetic patients. So thank you very much for your attention. Thanks very much.
Dear Professor Yoshinori, thank you very much for this bridge between Romania and Japan. It is a good connection, and thank you very much for your presence. Now, if Professor Umberto Solimene is with us, I know that he participated in another Congress also from Russia. So if now he is with us, I ask him to have some words during our session. I saw him earlier. Maybe he's not ready with the technique. Now I will ask Dr. Eva Matienko from Estonia, manager of the Health Promotion Health Center of Excellence in Health Promotion and Rehabilitation from Estonia, to have some words during our international session. Please, Dr. Eva Matienko.
Hello.
Yes.
I hope I can start my presentation also. So, can you see my presentation? Hello?
Not yet, but maybe in a few minutes.
Okay. I try once again.
Now it's started.
Okay. Dear ladies and gentlemen, all of participants of the Romanian Congress of Physical Medicine, Rehabilitation and Balneology 2020, I'd like to welcome all of you in the name of the Center of Excellence in Health Promotion and Rehabilitation of Tallinn University, Haapsalu College from Estonia. My name is Eva Makienko, and I work for Center of Excellence as a director and also as a manager of health promotion and curative math product development unit. I'd like to give you a short overview about our Center of Excellence and our nowadays activities. Actually, we are situated in Estonia. It's about 100 kilometers to the west from our capital city, Tallinn. Dr. Konstantin Munteanu was in our town, Haapsalu, in 2011. It was very great to meet there in Haapsalu. We are a subunit of Tallinn University Haapsalu College, which is established in 2011, our Center of Excellence. And we have 8 partners, each from a public and private sector. Our partners are Tallinn University, Haapsalu Municipality, Haapsalu Neurological Rehabilitation Center, University of Tartu, Tartu University Hospital, Enterprises Heal Ltd, Haapsalu Kurort Ltd, and also a non-profit association, Estonian Spa Association. And our project activities are funded by European Regional Development Fund. Our activities in the research and development field are in the 2 main fields. Each one is the field of curative math and math cure treatment based on curative math mining and 200 years long traditions of math treatments using and spa traditions. And another field is the field of mobility and functional ability based on Haapsalu Neurological Rehabilitation Center competencies. And we have there in Haapsalu University, Haapsalu College also provided health promotion specialist curriculum. And the mission of the Center of Excellence is to promote research-based mobility and physical activity of the working age population, rehabilitation activities, and regional development. Today, in 2020 until 2021, in our main aim is to study the effect of local math treatments in prevention and rehabilitation of work-related overuse syndromes. At first, in the case of carpal tunnel overuse, our volunteers will be computer users, and we study a local application of the thermal neutral math beat used in the hand, and the effect of the nerve conduction velocity will be measured by the devices ENMG. And another research, it's in case of prolonged standing workers, it will be used 5 days long procedures with mud bath for the legs with dehydrated and pounded curative mud and warm water. And the effect of microcirculation will be measured by the devices laser Doppler and the device podometry. In the longer period, our aim is in the field of curative math and math cure to work out, use, and promote the best novel ways to measure and assess the effect of curative math and math cure procedures. And this is a point where we can see it's very important to do international cooperation and collaboration in this field to work out the guidelines how to measure and assess the effect of curative math and math cure procedures. And the second main aim is to work out actually the new solutions and concepts with our local curative math for using in entrepreneurship, for example, in the field of balneology or natural cosmetics production. This is shortly my presentation. Thank you for your attention. And if you have interest to have cooperation with us, don't hesitate to contact with us. Thank you very much for your attention again.
Dear Eva Makienko, thank you very much for your presentation and for your presence today during our international session for our Congress here in Romania. Thank you very much. Thank you also for the good data you provided us from Estonia, and to show us that Estonia is also a strong country in balneology. Thank you very much. Now, with your permission, I will invite Mr. Charles Davidson from Australia, far away from us, from Romania. Thank you very much, Mr. Davidson. If you have some...
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. From Australia.
Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yes, yes, it's okay.
And I'm going to screen share. And here we go. The same issues as everybody else. I just can't quite see. Sorry.
No problem.
So what I'd like to start off with a very big thank you to the Romanian Balneological Organisation, the National Congress, for putting on this amazing event. And also, I would like to say thank you to Umberto Salamin, who's somebody I've known for the last few years, and I have been involved with him and FemTech in the Asia Pacific area and working with some American colleagues as well. And I would like to say a special thank you and a hello to Professor Karagule, who I met in Istanbul about 10 years ago. It was really had some amazing time with him visiting hot springs as part of the Global Wellness Institute. Today, what I wanted to talk about wasn't an academic paper. It's actually it's going to be a discussion about, or a presentation on how hot springs around the world are reacting, what are they doing in the face of the difficult times we've had with COVID-19. And in a lot of cases, how we're using academic knowledge in the industry. So it's really that interface between academic knowledge and industry, and how we can work much more quickly and put knowledge into the experience that we offer all of our visitors and our guests. One of the organisations I am involved with, I'm the chairman of the Global Wellness Institute Hot Spring Initiative, and we have members from right around the world. One of our members is on this call at the moment, and that's our Professor, this is Doctor, but Professor Jean-Paul Deville in Texas. Our organisation were looking at in early March when the whole world was starting to have the big problems with COVID-19. We talked around all of our members, and we're trying to work out what can we do and how do we face this, this pandemic. One of our members, Jeff Wang, who is based in China and is the chairman of the China Hot Spring Tourism Association, he was talking about China's experience, and naturally they went into the pandemic first because it commenced there and then spread, but as it could anywhere, you know, the Spanish flu started. Actually, I don't know where the Spanish flu started, so I won't talk about that. But anyway, Jeff Wang is talking about the experience in China and said that probably the number one thing they've learnt is that a solution won't be quick, but the one thing that we can all do is try and focus on our immune systems. At a personal level, we can work towards improving our own health, and through that it gives us our personal immunity. It's not a solution, but it is a personal methodology that we can partake in to look after our health. So what we did is we started looking at papers, and if you go onto the Global Wellness Institute Hot Springs Initiative, and you can look that up, there are a number of papers on there that have been presented by various people. Some of our members are professors and doctors, and then a lot of industry people and academics. Some of the things that we came up with were a paper on just simple things that you can do at hot springs and at thermal centres, and really a lot of these things can be done at home as well. And it started with looking at clean air and the sunshine, getting out into the sun, getting vitamin D, looking at clean water and having good drinking water and healthy water that we can drink. A very good food source. So looking after our immune system is very much about looking after our health, and nutrition is a very important part of that. The global bathing, so all of the different forms of bathing, so the hot water bathing, some of the studies that we've already heard about today are talking about the importance of bathing, but using hot and cold bathing, so to boost the immune system. Aromatherapy, there are various forms of aromatherapy, physical exercise, music and arts and entertainment. We've got being in nature, just relaxing and finding time for ourselves, and sleep. Of course, that's our greatest healer of all, is why we go to sleep, is and having good deep sleep is our body being its own doctor. And finally, being social. And that is one thing that this industry, the hot springs and the thermal industry, gives people, is a chance to be together, to meet each other, to talk together. And in that, people find great strength and happiness and purpose in life. So that's a really important part. What I'm going to do now is just go through 4 examples of things that are happening in different parts of the world, and what some facilities are doing. So these are the facilities are doing in the face of COVID-19, and what is working. In Austria, the famed Vitality Group, and Thomas Bauer, who's one of our board members, he is the chair of this organisation, or the CEO of the organisation, and they have, in fact, I think it's 10 large hot springs around Austria. What they have done, they have had to reduce the number of visitors, which has made their business quite difficult, and they're running at about 30 to 40% of the day visitation people, but their hotel is running better than it has ever. So they're having a record year in hotel visitation. So people are wanting to get out, they're wanting to visit spa centres, they're wanting to be in nature and to bathe, but they have to do it in a safe way. So what they have been doing is having a lot of private areas. So if you can see the pictures on the left there, basically people book these private lounges and private rooms and private areas, and that allows people to have more space, and their business overall, the hotel is going better, but the spa is the visitation is down. So they're trading okay, which is quite amazing, considering my own business, which I'll talk about at the end of this, is actually still closed. So we are having it in shutdown at the moment. This is the second shutdown that we have had, and so it's quite difficult to have any trade. Maria Hot Springs in New Zealand, James White, who is also one of our board members, is the managing director of Maria Hot Springs. It's in the South Island of New Zealand. And what they have done to come out of COVID-19 is introduce day retreats. So they have fewer people, but they are charging a higher price, and they are offering a much higher level of service. So people are doing some clay therapies, as you can see in the pictures. They are doing walking, forest bathing and walking. They're doing hot cold therapies, the saunas and the ice plunges. And as you can see, it's set in such a beautiful area in the South Island in the mountains of New Zealand. Their visitation has, in fact, they are off restrictions altogether at the moment, and their visitation is up around about, or their turnover is up about 100% from last year, the same time last year. So having come out of the COVID-19 crisis and having a complete lockdown, New Zealand has almost completely eradicated the virus. There's a small outbreak in Auckland right at the moment, and their economy, while they're not accepting international visitors, their economy is going quite well, and the tourism economy for this particular business is booming. Glen Ivy Hot Springs in the United States, they have reduced their visitation to about 30% of the normal number that they would allow into the place to allow for social distancing, but they are still offering all of the services that they normally offer. So they have massage, they are offering clay therapy, they are offering the hot spring bathing, and they are also offering these special packages. The packages are charged at about 2 to 3 times the normal rate that they would be charging in their normal situation. But their visitation is going well. They do have private cabanas as well. So they're suffering, and it's going to take a while until they can get back to their normal business. So this is an interim measure for them, but people are being proactive. In my case at Peninsula Hot Springs, we are closed, as I mentioned. We are hoping to be able to reopen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And myself and our 350 staff, we have some people working on maintenance and some people are building some new facilities, but generally most people are not working at the moment, which obviously is very difficult. What we are looking at introducing, and we do have at the facility, more of these health and wellness programs. We do have clay therapy, we're doing hot cold bathing, and we are introducing the private cabanas or private tents and locations where we have fewer people, but we can achieve a higher yield. I hope that gives you a bit of an outline of some of the things people are doing around the world. And as an industry, we really appreciate the great work that the academic institutions of the world add to the industry and enabling us to become an essential service, hopefully. But we also like the interface, and we'd like to be able to put the learnings that come from the academic study into experiences. So the more that we can create a relationship between academic institutions and the study and turning that into experiences, the faster that we can deliver that into our society and deliver a better life for everybody. So thank you very much for hosting this event and for having me all this way from Australia. Thank you.
Thank you also for this international view, global view of the balneology. Thank you very much. Thank you also for the beautiful pictures in your presentation. Thank you for this bridge between Romania and Australia. And I would like now to move from Australia to North America. Professor Jonathan Paul de Vierville, if you want to say some words, if you are interested to say something, please be with us during our international session. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you very, very much for this. It's 4 o'clock in the morning here, but I feel totally inspired by the hope and the clarity that you have given. I really appreciated the beginning, Professor Cargill's presentation in terms of the full scope of what was going on with balneology. I have a short presentation, but I just wanted to say we are under dire stress here. Charles has given a very good overview, but you should realize what has been happening in America. Not only have we had fires and hurricanes, I'm in Texas here, we were bypassed by the hurricane, but to see the hope where you are bringing nature to us. Not only have we had fires, but our most historic bathhouse at Ojo Caliente in New Mexico burned 2 weeks ago. So we are undergoing a great transformation here. But seeing all of you and the work that you're doing, where oftentimes America has been the land of hope, I think we are now looking to you all for this sense of hope and how we can proceed in the future in terms of the health of our planet. And I think balneology really is that point of initiation to bring the health for the planet. But let me share my screen. I hope this works. Okay, is that, there we go, balneology. Okay. We have a small group called BANA, the Balneology Association of North America. There you can see the website, balneology.org. It says your internet there, and we're involved in research, information, education, the drinking and bathing, and we're particularly looking at simply North America. So go here. Again, it's all about the waters. As you can see, here is a view from the moon looking back at the small mineral drop of Earth. So Earth really is one big drop of mineral water. And I can say that with authority since Neil Armstrong is my cousin. I've been involved in the interest in the history of the space, but to see the perspective of what's going on in Earth. So all human life on planet Earth is wet. We are, you and me, we are all conscious, cognitive, molecular mineral waters in motion. So we are waters. But we are waters becoming conscious, and that's part of this whole thing of what's going on. And I see that your work here in terms of the consciousness of water being. Here is the watersheds of North America. You can see these are the different rivers in that. And of course, associated with all of these water systems are mineral springs. We were blessed with many, many mineral springs, but they're totally undeveloped, as Charles has seen. But if you look at what is going on with water, there's a lot deeper aspect and understanding of water. This is the water research in terms of looking at the geometry of water. There's some very interesting things in terms of pi and sacred geometry involved in water molecules. But again, drinking and bathing culture of the waters, by the waters, for the waterings. So the way that we're looking at it is from 4 points of view in terms of the science and technology, the medicine which you all bring, but also the language and arts, the social, political, and the religious and the mythologic. So it's a combination, it's a social cultural perspective. Again, the beauty of therapy, the art of therapy, the technologies of therapy, the social politics, the economics and industrial aspects, but also the spiritual experiences in terms of ancient dream incubation and spa culture. So there's a variety of ways. Again, the arts and languages, the science and technologies, the social, political, and economics, and the religious and the myths that go deeply and affect us as humans. So we've also developed what we call the 10 domains. In other words, looking at spa cultures and looking at geothermalism from 4 points of view: water, food, movement, body work, mind, body, natural therapeutic agents, nature, education, management, and then time and cycles. Charles is absolutely right. It has to do with the sleep, deep sleep, big dreams. In other words, if we can get people into their parasympathetic nervous system, the body will heal itself as along with the psyche. So there's a lot that we could examine in terms of that. So if you look at it from a point of view of 5, actually 10, it's a mandala. All of these work together in terms of what is going on with balneology. Balneology is the fundamental medical medicine, I think. We have a long history here in America, but it's all forgotten. We don't know, but if you look at some of these are some of the works that we're looking at in terms of the spiritual life of water by Alec Bartholomew. There's a variety of people. Again, he's English, but we also, water is the most extraordinary substance, particularly all its properties are anomalous. And that's what I think is really fascinating for the future, the anomalies in water. There's so much going on in terms of what we don't know. But, you know, we know the solid, liquid, water as a gas, water as a liquid, water as solid. But there's also all these different anomalies that I think we can bring into what's going on with the phenomena of water. There's gas and vapor, liquid fluid exclusion zone. In the work of Jerry Pollack, the bioengineering at the University of Washington, he's found a 4th phase of water. So there's a lot more, I think, that we can bring into this. So, and we can get into the anomalous phases, what's going on, the physical manifestation, the antiphysical factors, the physiological, psychological, the psychic, and the cultural factors. There's so many realms that water approaches. But again, looking deeply into water, what are the forms and flow that regenerate and grow? That is what I'm finding really hopeful, because y'all are offering a sense of regenerative capacity. And that's definitely what we are going to need to get through this COVID and into, it's not going back to the normal, it's going back to the new paranormal. In other words, there's going to be new realms. So there's a lot more in terms of the flow, the deeper patterns and flow of nature that are involved in here. But again, if the human species is a conscious, sensing, thinking, feeling, and intuitive waters, then how are human beings? How are the bio-mineral molecular, what's our interface, interrelated and integrated with our physical bodies, our conscious minds, and our spiritual souls? So if the waters are the process, then wellness, well-being, and wholeness are the outcomes. So I could go on, I got a lot more, but I just really want to thank you for the opportunity to connect. I have a feeling, as Bogart said to Hepburn, I think this is the beginning of a very interesting relationship. So thank you very, very much.
We also thank you for your intervention and for your words and for your friendship. I think also, like you, that together we can create a new world of balneology also. Thank you very much. Now I will invite Dr. Irina Borodulina from Russia, if it is online with us, to have some words from Russia. If it is not yet online, Professor Umberto Solimene had sent me a message and told me that because of some personal issues, he couldn't be with us. So I will ask now Professor Olga Surdu, as first Vice President of Femtech, to have some words if Professor Olga Surdu is with us. If not, I will move on along to the next presentation. Dr. Jolanta Zegarska from Poland, if it is with us.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great pleasure for me to share with you and to meet with you, although only in virtual space. And I try to share my screen now.
Is working?
Is
Yes.
working? Okay. So I'm gynecologist and as well as a balneologist. So I would like to always combine the knowledge from both this knowledge about this discipline for women's health. And today I would like to shortly introduce you how we can combine what is old, what we know about balneology in women's diseases, but also what is new, modern techniques, which we can use in our health resorts. So balneology is known from such a long time that can be used in gynecological diseases to treat in gynecological conditions. We know it can be like for treating inflammation, can be in all post-operative conditions, can be for pelvic organ dysfunctions, for like even congenital defects health treatment, for functional disorders like menstrual cycle disorders, for infertility, and also for postmenopausal conditions. In health resorts, mainly we use, of course, balneotherapy and hydrotherapy, physical therapy, kinesiotherapy, massages, diet, psychotherapy, and climate. So if I would like to now just shortly introduce you what we can do for women in our health resorts. So of course we can use pillows, mud, peat, different kinds of mud, and we can use them to achieve local effect, but also systemic effect. Especially we can influence for the hypothalamic pituitary ovary axis. And of course we can create immunomodulation. For the local effect for the women reproductive tract, we can use the anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, analgesic effect, regeneration, detoxification, muscle relaxation, and so on. So actually, like pillows in the treatment of women disease in health resource is one of the best way of use pillows. It's not so wide, it's not so common like in rheumatic diseases, like in orthopedic diseases and other. But actually the action for gynecological disorders is very good. So we can, how we can achieve this in women diseases, what is very important for us is also because we can achieve hyperemia, we increase metabolism and resorption of inflammatory infiltrators, but also what was said before, the pillow therapy can influence collagen protection and collagen synthesis stimulation. Also, we use waters, different kinds of waters, and depends on what kind of resources we have. We can use almost all of them, like salty waters, hydrogen sulfide waters, also CO2 waters, and radon waters in our medical centers. So similar, like for pillows, we can try to achieve local effect, but also systemic, like autonomic nervous system influence and secretion of tissue hormones. So waters can like increase metabolism, improve circulation, are anti-inflammatory, anti-allergic, and antimicrobial, and so on. Results what we can achieve also in other diseases. We can add to our balneotherapy treatment, as in other diseases, we also adding physical therapy methods. like we know, like magnetotherapy, light therapy, including lasers, ultrasound, and electrotherapy. So what actually is new in this gynecological treatment? Actually, nowadays, we have so many modern techniques in physical therapy. We can new equipment, we can new science, we can like even operative and invasive gynecology treatment now is going to way to micro-invasive or even non-invasive methods. That's why we have few methods which we call physical therapy, and the boundary between like purely biostimulation and kind of invasive or micro-invasive effect is sometimes very hard to distinguish, but actually maybe we do not need to distinguish. We can use just both of them. So at the same time, the energy is using for the same treatment and causes both microablative and also stimulating effect for the tissue. And energy is used not as before to destroy tissue, like in our microinvasive treatment, but rather to renew and regenerate them. So we have like high energy lasers, we have ultrasounds, we have radio frequency and magnetic fields, different kind of stimulation. And if you look at the lasers, we have CO2 lasers. They can cause microablation, but also they are like not ablative programs and causes like thermal effect on collagen, especially in the vagina. So we can, how they act, that they can produce like heat shock proteins. And also they are doing like two type of peak. One is like high peak power and the second is low peak power. And one of them is cause microablation. But the second one is actually used to transmit to the energy deeper. And through this, we can achieve stimulation and synthesis of new collagen and elements in the matrix of the basic substance. So we can see after this kind of treatment, how big difference you can see in the regeneration of the tissue. So why we can use laser in tissue regeneration therapy? This is about vagina. Because this like kind of method to improve production of collagen and fibers, we can restoration of normal vaginal acidity, we can increase hydration, lubrication, and reduce risk of symptoms associated with the prolapse and infection, including urinary incontinence, which is very, very common among women. So another example about like high technology, it's high intensity focused ultrasound and also focused in a way to have a deep impact on connective tissue and muscle. So actually what we would like to achieve and what we can achieve, which was shown by comparative histological studies, that we can increase the amount of collagen and like achieve more regular arrangement of elastic fibers and skin thickening, which is very, very important for women's health. So, as I said before, it's like to increase resistance to inflammation after this treatment. We can improve hydration, we eliminate dyspareunia and urinary incontinence, which is important. We have another example, it's radiofrequency, it's like monopolar radiofrequency energy. And again, we focus on collagen formation and remodeling. So why not to combine all of these methods in our health resorts? Actually, when we are using balneotherapy, when we are using peat, when we are using other kind of mud and waters, actually, also we are thinking about the same effect, like regeneration, anti-inflammation, about our collagen rejuvenation. So at that moment, very common, not so very, but common is combining lasers with ultrasound. And there are some protocols how they should be performed one by one, but we think that we can add, we can combine this modern technology with our balneotherapy. And there is no study at that moment about this kind of combination, but we know that using balneotherapy methods, we can achieve like improvement of women reproductive tract. And using these modern techniques, we can also we can achieve the same results. So, and after some of these procedures like lasers or HIFU, we need regeneration. So using balneotherapy definitely should amplify the results. And we hope that shortly we can perform and then publish this kind of results, which can be another opening for our health resource. So thank you very much for your for invitation again and for listening to me. And I hope that women diseases treatment in biology and physical medicine become more and more popular and common for women's health, but also for society health. It's very important.
We thank you also very much to our colleague Jolanta Zygarska from Poland. Thank you very much. I remember your dancing during our Congress in Romania, so I have good memories regarding your energy. Thank you very much, and thank you for your friendship. Thank you to be with us. Now I will ask, I saw that also online is Professor Francisco Maraver from Spain. If he can hear us, will be very nice to have some words from him. If not, I say hello to him. I don't know if he is this time online. Now I will want to move to the next speaker. I will invite Dr. Maria Chiara Maccarone from Italia to have the next presentation, if she is prepared with and
yes,
she is online. Okay, thank
I'm
you.
here.
Okay.
Good morning to everyone. Greetings
Maria.
from Professor Masiero. He's sorry, but he cannot be with us because of a sudden meeting occurred in the last minute. But I'm very glad to be with you and thank you for your invitation. So I'm going to share my presentation. So, do you see my presentation?
Everything is okay. Thank you.
So today I'm going to talk about health zone medicine and its application in the treatment and the recovery of disabilities in post-COVID-19 patients. To better explain the background in which our proposal is inserted, we know that COVID-19 has been early involved in the spreading in Italy, and in the last month, an increase in new cases has been reported, with also an increase in the number of patients hospitalized, in particular in some regions. The mean age of patients infected by COVID-19 is going to be reduced, and in this time in Italy it is about 30 years. New cases have been collected through screening campaign and monitoring of close contacts. The infection, as you know, is characterized by the prevalence of respiratory symptoms, and in 14% of patients it can evolve in severe pneumonia, and in about the 5% it can lead to acute respiratory distress syndrome and multi-organ failure, both requiring hospitalization. So it is easy to know how all these patients will require an appropriate strategy of rehabilitation even after the discharge from the COVID-19 unit. Moreover, these patients must develop also some chronic symptoms. So after the recovery from the infection, this patient should present also medium or long-term outcomes such as muscle strength, cardiorespiratory reduction, neuropathy, and other possible post-infectious neurological syndromes, residual immune imbalance, cognitive or neuropsychological disorders such as anxiety, depression, and others. All these outcomes must have an appropriate therapeutic and rehabilitative intervention even after the discharge of these patients. Unfortunately, there are no specific structures offering a comprehensive treatment for these subjects. Even if it is important to start a rehabilitation progress as soon as is possible and a multidisciplinary approach is recommended. Also, these patients often present advanced age and multiple comorbidities, such as osteoarthritis, chronic diseases, and obesity. All these comorbidities should require a correct approach to be treated after the discharge. So, our proposal is for an innovative and integrated approach and strategy taking advantage of health resort medicine as the suitable setting to take care of discharging COVID-19 subjects. In this way, health resort should strengthen its vocation to health and provide to these subjects with various types of strategies. In particular, the strategies should be banyotherapy, hydrotherapy, climatotherapy, with the use of a multidisciplinary team composed by physiatrists, hydrologists, pneumologists, nurses, and other professional figures. The approach possible in health resorts should be therapeutic massage, water massage, different kinds of exercise such as water exercise, breathing, balance, and muscle strengthening exercise, health education, and neuropsychological approach. In literature, there are the basis for our proposals. In fact, as you know, thermal water combines the specific chemical effects of its composition and the physical effects of water immersion. Moreover, thermal water can help to recover balance and walking ability, frequently depressed after a prolonged bed rest period. Exercise in thermal water is also the safe place to rehabilitate subjects with comorbidities such as osteoarthritis and obesity. And finally, exercise in thermal water is also possible to strengthen the weakened inspiratory muscles, creating a particular protocol directed to the respiratory outcomes. On the other side, in thermal setting, it is also possible to enhance quality of life through the reducing of anxiety and stress, the improvement of stress resilience, stimulating motivation, improving mood, and reducing fatigue. The positive social atmosphere of health resort medicine may also play a therapeutic role on the immune system, enhancing the human immune response, often damaged by a prolonged mental stress, such as the infection. Concerning the water, there is no evidence that the infection can spread to people through the water using the impulse and spa. And according to CDC, a proper disinfection should kill the virus. So, in conclusion, considering the high number of health resorts in the world, we think that they should be the ideal setting to perform an innovative and effective therapeutic paradigm that can address all the outcomes requiring therapeutic care after the discharge and the healing from COVID-19 infection, with a particular attention to comorbidities and the respiratory rehabilitation pattern. All the benefits that we can hypothesize in this time should be assessed through clinical trials, and a collaboration with the primary care physicians and a connection with the national health systems must hide to develop a complex protocol of rehabilitation in each resorts. Thank you.
Dear
Thank you
colleague
to
Maria, thank you very much for your presentation. Very interesting presentation. Also, my thanks to our colleague Stefano Maceiro. Thank you very much. Now, I will want to ask Dr. Ahmed Belaitar from Algeria, to have some words during our Congress. Please open the microphone, Mr. Ahmed.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Is okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
I need just to transmit my grade 5 for all friends. I am very happy to نكون معاهم. Just few minutes and I will recontact. A problem. I have a problem of connection there. I am sorry.
Okay. Maybe, I don't know if Professor Olga Surdu is with us in this moment. If he's not with us, then I will ask also our colleague from Kazakhstan. I saw here, so is another country which is present in our Congress, and maybe our colleague from Kazakhstan. Our colleague from Kazakhstan, I see you. Maybe you can open your microphone, please, to hear some words from Kazakhstan.
Hello, dear colleagues. Thank you for invited this Congress. This Congress first experience online conference, and very super organized, and I'm very happy for participated in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you also.
I not presentation. I haven't presentation.
Okay, few words only to have this international connection, to see each other, to share some experiences, to have connection with Australia, with North America, with Kazakhstan, with Russia, with Poland, with Italy. So thank you very much to be with us. I don't know if Professor Francisco Maraver is with us. I will ask him to have some words from Spain, from his side. I saw him earlier, so maybe if he's here, if he is online, few words. Is not. Okay, then this was the great international session of our Congress. Thank you very much to all the presenters. Thank you very much for this presence here today in this great number, most than about 200 people. Professor Gelonose, if you want to say some words in the end of this session, please.
Yes, I really do want to say some words. And the principal idea, the main idea is my greatest satisfaction that, well, we probably shall discuss also in the future more detailed. The fact that the Romanian School of Physical and Rehabilitation Medicine and Balneology
Just a minute,
which
dear
is
Professor.
rather singularly worldwide to have a unified specialty between balneology and physical and rehabilitation medicine.
Dear
And
Professor,
this
just
is,
a minute, just a little bit. Professor Francesco Maraver just joined us in the Congress. So I would like very much if he can say some words before we close the session. And after that, you can have the conclusion remarks for this session. Professor Francisco Maraver, if you hear us, thank you.
Gracias, profesor Dimitrao. Es un honor participar en el Congreso de la Sociedad y ha sido una sesión muy interesante de todo. Disculpen mi falta de idioma y enhorabuena. Es un placer estar con vosotros. Gracias.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you also for this connection and I remember very much the Congress from Granada, from Spain. It was a great Congress, ISMH Congress. Thank you very much, thank you. Dear Professor Gelo Nose, thank you very much I'm sorry for interrupting you. You can have now the word.
no problem. It was for a noble cause
Yeah,
to hear a greeting from Professor Maraver. Well, so I'm delighted to see that the Romanian paradigm of having a united specialty is a successful one. And I really, from many years, because from many years I'm dealing with this specialty, why is it, if you allow me another little pun, I had one in my first intervention, why in many countries, including very strong balnear as natural resources countries, for instance France, for instance Germany, the specialty is fractured, excuse my little pun, between physical and rehabilitation medicine in citadine environments and thermalism, for instance, or climatology and balneotherapy in German. I'm not a German speaker. In the spas, the life and the truth and the evidence of clinic shows that these two components merge and have better results ever anytime being together. I'm delighted to see that, for instance, our colleague in Estonia, they have in their excellence center mixed between neurorehabilitation and the balnear treatment. And this is the optimal formula we are applying since many years in Romania, for instance, in Techirghiol and in Baile Felix, which are two examples of excellent centers for mixing balnear and physical and rehabilitation medicine, going to the upmost and highest newest technologies like virtual reality and robotics, mixing with traditional medicine of balneology. And this is a success formula. So I'm delighted that this comes more and more obvious that a unified specialty is the winner formula. The same for the colleague from Poland who stressed upon the fact that they have to be merged in the same therapeutical scheme, the physical agents and the technology with balneotherapy. So, for instance, for the health woman, we have many results in Romania, including on the Black Sea coast seashore, including Techirghiol and Mangalia and Eforia North, but also one mostly dedicated to the human women pathology in Sovata. And we do for many years this mix of physical agents, artificial physical agents, and natural resources factors intervention. So I'm really delighted, and maybe one of my conclusion for this session is that we could work together worldwide, maybe to optimize our therapeutic capacity and rehabilitative one by merging and unifying these two components of practically, I consider, normal, unique specialty. Thank you very much.
Thank you also, Professor Gelonose. Thank you, all the participants, for this great moment of our Congress, for this great participants during this international session. Thank you all, and you always will be our friends here in Romania, and always we invite you with great happiness to be with us during our congresses in the future. Thank you very much. I will close now this session, and we make a little break for 1 hour until the next, the third session of the Congress. I will invite the panelists to be ready for their presentations. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, thank you very much for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Very nice, very good.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you, bye.